Got the capacitor all cleaned up and lubed up and new rubber grommet on that end. Now I'm going to start working on the insides and to get in there. Take off 4 screws around here, undo some grounding braids, and pop the side off. I can easily get at those 2 caps. Check any resistors that might be lurking, like I can see one right down in there. I'll do the same for the other side, and when I get to that, I will also restuff that electrolytic cap. I got a couple caps replaced easily enough. I'm marking them off on the parts list. As I replace them, I got this big light block and just couldn't find any good way to get at it. There's a sheet metal screw that holds it to the chassis, but you can't get a nut driver in there because of this plate of the switch deck here. Could take the switch all apart, but I really don't want to go to such lengths. Eventually dawned on me I could take like some kind of wrench and get in from the side here. So I took an adjustable wrench, got just the right size, and cranked it over, and I was able to loosen this up. And luckily it's only a single section, so there's only 2 wires going to it. Not quite enough slack that I can really restuff it in place though, but I can twist it around enough now to get at those 2 wires and one solder them and get this block out and work on restuffing it. Here's that cap on the schematic. They show it as 0.3 microfarad. Well, I poked around and I ended up doing just what they did originally. I used 2 separate 0.1 microfarads, and it leads up through there, and they're now wired in parallel. Measured it, it's just about dead on at 0.3, so time to reinstall it. I finished up with this side and just took off the other side panel. Started working at this end, got this cap replaced, took out the electrolytic so I can restuff it. And then I spotted this paper cap down in here. That's gonna be a tricky one. Knew things are going too smoothly. One end's grounded, that's easy enough to cut off up here, but the other end is going down in there somewhere on the lines on the band switch. I don't see any way to get at that other than undoing this deck of the switch, so I can pull this away a bit and get in there. In other words, basically separate this top plate from the bottom. No, I was thinking maybe a hole on this side could let me get down in there, but nope. Well, done it before when I had worked on the 37640. I completely pulled this whole thing apart. I was hoping to avoid doing it again. So what you can do is you can undo these 2 1/4-inch bolts here, screws, and you can pull out the whole shaft, which then separates these 3 decks. You can undo, screw top here, and I think that's actually it. And then you pull this section back a bit. I'll have to give that a try. I got the switch shaft pulled back a bit. Undid that grounding braid. Taking the screw out. Which loosens this up a bit, but what I'm going to do is disconnect it from the capacitor. Multi-section cap on this side. There's a wire going through. And I think it's hung up on this wire. And I'll undo these 2, which is cool because I'm going to be replacing them anyways. Cut. think that's enough now. I can get that in there and get that guy out. Slide our new one in. Alright, finally got that cap replaced and the switch reassembled. Now, speculating earlier if this radio had any of these production changes implemented. Yes, indeed. I was trying to identify this flexible resistor here. That's what these things are, in case you ever wondered. The resistor technology at the time didn't seem to have been up to making small valued, like less than 1 kilo ohm resistors in this form. So these are small wire wound resistors covered in cloth insulator. Well, I was trying to identify what this and this 0.01 megafarad cap were, because I could not find them. Parts locator that should be in right here. Well, that's the 6A8. I figured it's going to pin 8, which is the cathode. So under the production changes in right here. 6A8 G-tube is changed to self-biasing as follows. A resistor 100 ohms is connected in series with the 6A8 tube cathode, and a condenser 0.01 microfarad is used to bypass the resistor. So bam, that is exactly what this is. These typically, like most wire-wound resistors, if they're not open, they measure good because the wire doesn't change in resistance over time, but I recommend replacing them regardless. And of course I'll replace this paper cap. So this guy's kind of curious too. This it looks like this early type of resistor, but those colors are rather odd, so they may contradict what I just said. If that's really right, because that looks kind of like it might be an 85 ohm resistor. Let's see if I can find it on here. It could be 26. Yeah, 85 ohm resistor, so alright, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they could make them, or maybe they just figured out how to shortly before, around the time this radio was made. However, if they could make a resistor this small, 85 ohm, why would they use a flexible resistor for 100 ohms? Okay, got that stuff replaced. Now I'm moving over to this, which is the 6N7 oscillator control tube, which also has a cathode bias resistor on it and a bypass cap. And just to keep things interesting, this is yet another type of low ohmage resistor. 700 ohms, violet, black, brown. It's got a little Bakelite case. Drifted off value, so it'll get replaced as well. I disconnected the single electrolytic on the RF unit and cut it open and pulled out the insides so I can restuff it. But I'm going to hold off on doing that until I remove the other two from the power unit. So I've got the main chassis up here on the workbench right now, and I'm going to start working on this. I think at this end. I'm going to work my way to the side. The two electrolytics are up under here. To get it open, I just used a sharp blade and worked my way around the top. Popped the cap off. Clipped off the lug on the end and pulled out the insides. After I get a new cap inside there, I'll just glue the top back on, some epoxy.